SHEEEIT Radio.
Great, guys.
Welcome to SHEEEIT Radio. I'm joined as always by Liarz and Wasted, and tonight on the show we're going to be talking about 1995, a year of music. It's the 30th anniversary of music from 1995. It's been 30 years since. So we got some interesting things to talk about, some happenings, some great albums that occurred. Liarz, you got some more information?
Lots happened in 1995. Some bands were formed, some bands were disbanded. I figured I'd focus on mainly the heavy metal side of 1995, and we'll also look into some hip hop that happened in 1995 because it was a really good year for hip hop as well. In January, Perry Farrell was arrested for cocaine and being under the influence of possession of a syringe at Los Angeles hotel. Jerry Garcia crashed his early in the year. Jerry Garcia crashed his BMW into a guardrail in California, but was not injured. But unfortunately, later on in the year, Jerry Garcia did pass away. Former Guns N' Roses drummer Steven Adler is arraigned on a felony count of possession of heroin, in addition to 2 misdemeanor drug charges. The Cult performed their last show in Rio de Janeiro with Ian Astbury leaving the band. The Cult would reunite in April of 1999. REM drummer Bill Berry leaves the stage during a concert in Switzerland after suffering a brain aneurysm. Like stuff, Motley Crue. This one is great. Motley Crue drummer Tommy Lee marries Baywatch actress Pamela Anderson on a beach in Cancun, Mexico, and we all know what happened after that. So much happened. So it was in August that Jerry Garcia passed away. Dwayne Goddell of Skinny Puppy. I don't know if you guys know Skinny Puppy. They were an industrial band. He died of a heroin overdose in his parents' home in Edmonton, Alberta. Canada, not too far from me. The Backstreet Boys released their debut single, We Got Going On. Interestingly enough, Def Leppard entered the Guinness Book of World Records by performing 3 shows in 3 continents on the same day. They played Tangier, Morocco, London, England, and Vancouver, British Columbia in Canada, all in the same day. Oasis released their single Wonderwall. So much. Kid and Play disbands. Go ahead, Brasky.
I was going to say, I learned that a boat can drive itself with no hands and no feet in 1995.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. Absolutely. Shannon Hoon also passed away much too early from a unfortunate incident on his tour bus.
Lead singer Blind Melon.
Yes, lead singer Blind Melon is also guests on a few tracks of the Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion albums. He was a good friend of Axl Rose growing up. They're from the same town. So I said I was going to touch on a little bit of hip hop. I just wanted to get on with some of the releases that happened. Old Dirty Bastard released his Return to the 36 Chambers, the dirty version. If you're a fan of Wu-Tang, Old Dirty Bastard's solo album, this album, is probably one of the best. I would say right up there with Method Man's album. And I love all the Wu-Tang solo albums. I think they're all great.
Liarz.
Yes, sir.
I would argue that there's a better Wu-Tang solo album released in 1995 than that, and you're going to probably go over it here not too far, but it will pop up.
Which one? Is it Ghostface? He released
the GZA, Liquid Swords.
Liquid Swords, yes. Liquid Swords is such a good album. If you have right from the beginning of that album, it just grabs you. You know, the RZA is such a wonderful producer. He creates a story in your head, and it's obviously individual for everybody, but he creates a story in your head with his music and the way he does it and the way that he gets his rappers or musicians, whomever, to come in and sing the songs over these just such imaginative beats and sounds. And the RZA is just second to none when it comes to producers. And yes, Liquid Swords came out, as did, like I said, as did Ghostface Killer's album as well. One album I did want to bring up was Funk Dubious. Brothers Doobie came out. That was their second studio album. It was a follow-up album to Which Doobie You Be, which was also a phenomenal album. I really liked that one. This one didn't do too as well as Which Doobie You Be, and Tomahawk Funk left the band shortly after release of this album. So I did want to mention that. Raekwon, Only Built for Cuban Links, another one of the Wu-Tang solo albums, came out. MC Hammer, Sailing to South. Can't ever forget about MC Hammer. Yeah, just going down the list, Candyman, Fat Joe, Frost, Onyx, Cypress Hill released Cypress Hill 3, Temples of the Boom. That was a much different sounding album than their previous two. Of course, you had their debut album, which was their Red album, which is all about smoking stuff and unaliving some people. And then, of course, Black Sunday was their follow-up album. Temples of Boom was a much darker album. The sounds and the beats were a lot more sinister than their first two albums, where you can almost say that their first two albums were almost poppy. This one was a little bit darker and a little bit, like I said, a little bit more sinister sounding. Coolio released Gangster's Paradise. The Beastie Boys released two albums that year. They released the Root Down EP and the Aglio e Olio EP, which was basically some demos of their earlier hardcore stuff. Funkmaster Flex had an album come out. LL Cool J had an album come out. 3-6 Mafia had an album come out. I mean, these are the cream of the crop in the rap industry. So, as good as it was for rap, it was just as good for heavy metal too. Brasky, there was a band, Buck Cherry was formed. There was a band that you mentioned in the pre-show when we were getting ready. Who was it that formed in
Boston's own Godsmack?
Godsmack, that's right, Godsmack. I wanted to make sure I referenced them for you.
Thank you.
Evanescence, Chevelle, Coheed and Cambria, Crazy Town. The list goes on. Nickelback was formed. Like Nickelback, Slipknot. So AC/DC released an album. Marilyn Manson released an album. One band that released an album in 1995, you may not know them, but I strongly suggest that you give them a listen. It's a band called Fu Manchu. They're an American stoner rock band from Orange County, California, formed in 1985. If you haven't really listened to any stoner rock, I highly recommend it. I would say it's kind of post-grunge. It's got some elements of grunge. It's got some elements of death metal. And I like to call it like post-grunge kind of stoner rock. And Fu Manchu are, if you're into any kind of stoner rock whatsoever, Fu Manchu are right at the top of that list. Firehouse, Faith No More. They released King for a Day, Fool for a Lifetime. That was the last album that featured Mike Patton until recently when they got back together. But that it didn't do too well as their previous albums. It didn't do as well as their previous albums, I should say, and that ultimately led to the disbandment of well, not really a disbandment of Mike Patton leaving and doing his own thing. Specifically Mr. Bungle, who also released an album in 1995 too. Sugar Ray released an album. The Red
Van
Hot Chili
Halen
Peppers
released Van
Go ahead.
Halen released the last album of Sammy Hagar's lead singer.
That's right. They released Balance. It's the 10th studio album by the American rock band Van Halen, released on January 24th. And so it's the final Van Halen album to feature Michael Anthony, bassist Michael Anthony as well, in its entirety. The album did reach #1 on the Billboard 200 and reached triple triple platinum status on May 12th by selling more than 3 million copies in the US. And the Seventh Seal was nominated for a Grammy for Best Hard Rock Performance. So a lot of lasts in that album, but fairly successful Van Halen album as well. Catatonia, I don't know if you remember them. They were a cool band. They had their For Funerals to Come EP was released as well. Excuse me. So much was happening. Disbandments.
Buddy, wait a second. We got more albums to go over. Collective Soul's Collective Soul released.
Yep.
I mean, if you listen to 90s rock music, that was going to be on all the time.
You're right. Collective Soul. Def Leppard released their greatest hits from 1980 to 1995.
For our hard rock fans, White Zombie's Astral Creep 2000 came out.
Yeah, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I forgot. Did I mention the Red Hot Chili Peppers? They
no, I interrupted you.
Oh, sorry. They released their follow-up album to Californication and Stadium Arcadium. That's One Hot Minute. Produced by friend of the show, Rick Rubin. I don't know if you remember that show. Let's see what else. Oh, you know what else? You know what else was released? This is we like to talk about Guns N' Roses on this show. Slash's Snake Pit released their debut album. It's 5 o'clock somewhere. And now, for those who don't know, the album release, I would say it was moderately successful. It wasn't a number one or anything, but it did feature Slash and a bunch of musicians, some from Guns N' Roses, some not. I believe Matt Sorum, Dizzy Reed, and Gilby Clarke, all of Guns N' Roses, played on the album. But what makes this album interesting is that this was released shortly after Slash had quit Guns N' Roses, and it's in Guns N' Roses lore. It's well known that this is the album of songs that Slash brought to Axl before he quit, and some of these songs were supposed to be on the follow-up Guns N' Roses record, which really never happened, To Use Your Illusions. And Axl just flat out rejected all the songs. He didn't want to do blues-based rock and roll anymore. He wanted to go more of the industrial side, which was found on the Chinese Democracy album. And that ultimately led to Slash quitting. So nice little tidbit there. Fear Factory had an album come out. Let's see, who else? Slaughter, Fear No Evil, Skid Row, Subhuman Race. I believe, if I am not mistaken, that was the last album to feature Sebastian Bach as their lead singer. And I think their drummer, Rob Affuso, that was the last one he was on as well. The album did receive mainly positive reviews, but was not successful. And like I said, that led to Sebastian Bach leaving the band.
I got another big one.
Yeah.
Smashing Pumpkins released Melancholy and the Infinite Sadness.
Yeah, that was a good one. I mean, that was a double album, I think.
It had Tonight, 1979, Bullet with Butterfly Wings, Zero. Ozzy released Osmosis.
And as you were saying, Astral Creep 2000 by White Zombie was released. This was the final studio album for White Zombie, right before Rob Zombie went on to form his very successful solo career. I always preferred the sounds of White Zombie to Rob Zombie's solo stuff. And if you're into this kind of music, this kind of heavy industrial, it's not really, I don't know, it's not really rock and roll. It's very industrial, and it sounds almost synthetic, and that's what it kind of makes it really cool. If you're into that music, this album is a definite staple.
Yeah,
Wasted,
95.
what about you?
95 was the year of the Oasis Blur feud in the UK. Oasis had What's the Story Morning Glory album. Blur had Great Escape. And it came to a head with also the same year that Blur's singer, Damon Albarn's girlfriend, Justin Fishman, released Elastica, the Elastica album, the debut. So those three bands were the big Brit Pop bands at the time. And what happened was in the feud is that Oasis had a release date for Morning Glory. So Blur management moved their album to come out on the same day. Sorry, the single, Roll With It single, the Oasis Roll With It single, and Country House. Blur moved Country House to be released on the same day as Oasis's Roll With It single. So Noel got pissed off and started saying things in the press, and Liam was saying stuff about Damon Albarn's girlfriend, the Elastica singer, saying that she fancied him. So that kicked off this huge feud, which drove all the sales of the singles. And Country House, I think Country House went in at number 1 and Oasis went in at number 2. But as law goes, as they say, the Oasis, Blur won the battle, but Oasis won the war, overall. Another album kind of linked to Britpop is Northern Soul by The Verve. Richard Ashcroft. They had a big hit with the Drugs Don't Work.
Bittersweet
on-
Symphony.
Yeah, on Urban Hymns. But before that, there was an album in '95 called Northern Soul, which has a hit single called History. And that album is more like psychedelic rock. It's heavier. Urban Hymns is more like the pop songs that made them famous.
Right.
Another album that came out in '95 was Bowie's Outside. Last week we talked about Lynch movies, and this album Outside is basically David Bowie's basically Lynch concept album. It's on the soundtrack. It's got I'm Deranged, which is on the Lost Highway soundtrack as well. So there's some weird connection, and the concept album is about it's some kind of in the near future where crime and violence is entertainment. And Bowie plays all the characters in a sort of like police procedural, like Twin Peaks or something. So he plays all the characters. So each song is appointed to each person. But it's a really like jazzy, sort of grungy rock opera or rock concept album. It's really nice to listen to. It's not all just songs, but I think Strangers When We Meet is on it as well, which is. So I think is in the movie is the killer. The Strangers When You Meet is the guy it's the killer that sings that song when he meets their victims. Also, Jagged Little Pill came out around that time. You Ought to Know. I remember going on like a lad's holiday down to Greece, and there was this guy called Johnny, and at night he used to dance around pretending he was like Firestarter, like Keith Flint from Prodigy, and he used to do that dance, the way Keith dances, and he'd have his hat backwards, and then in the day he'd be hungover and he'd be listening to her album, saying this bitch is crazy.
Is he wrong?
He's saying she's psycho. That's what he did. He walked around all day, and he was called Johnny Haggle, because we called him Johnny Haggle or the Haggler, because whenever he went to a club, he'd be at the bar talking to a girl, and he'd spend like 4 hours haggling with her, trying to negotiate a deal the whole night. The Haggler, wherever you went, he was there negotiating with women. Those are the ones I can remember. I guess in the UK, Back for Good was out. The single Take That. Back for Good was a big pop song in the UK from Take That. Robbie Williams. Tilt. Tilt came out in '95, and for some reason, Scott Walker. I think he's some kind of swinging '60s guy, and I read this review about Tilt, and it said it was just masterwork. So, and it was really dark, and it's kind of like, Nine Inch Nails. I was thinking like, oh, it must be like Nine Inch Nails or something. And so I went and got it, and it was like horrific, impossible to listen to, like, improv jazz, really like 10-minute songs. So I took it back. But it's one of the only records I ever took back to the records of Tilt by Scott Walker. Just one more, All Right by Supergrass came out as well. That song was everywhere. I don't really buy their albums, but it's a funny song, like a novelty Benny Hill type song.
Nice. The Billboard year-end Hot 100 singles of 1995. Do you guys know what's on top of that list? It still gets frequent airplay even today.
I'm
Gangsta's
hoping
It's not on this
Paradise.
Gangster's Paradise by Coolio. Yeah.
Just looking at Michelle Pfeiffer just with her chair backwards, kind of staring you down, you know?
That's right.
Let
Yeah,
her know about the hood.
that's right.
That's
Just-
another
just to
song
give-
that another
Go
song
ahead,
Trump
Mason.
plays at his rallies.
Yeah. just to give some like some clarity on this a little bit. My kids who are 9 and 8, they both love Gangster's Paradise. So it's a generational song. It's just as good today as it was when it came out. So
Do you know what the thing
Coolio
about Gangster's Paradise is, though?
was that.
That Amish Paradise by Weird Al is so much better.
It's great, eh? It really is great. Some of the other songs on the top 100 are Waterfalls and Creep by TLC. A lot of pop, you know. There's a Boys to Men song, Mariah Carey with Fantasy, Take a Bow by Madonna. Let's scroll down the list. See, the very first comes in at number 14, and it's a rock song, but it's kind of on the poppy side. It's Run Around by Blues Traveler.
That's not a
Um,
rock song, buddy. Listen, if they're playing it at the bingo hall or at the old folks' home, it ain't a rock song.
What about Always by Bon Jovi?
Oh,
Or
I mean, if if your mom was smoking a fucking pack a day of Virginia Slims, driving a minivan
yeah.
with a mullet, there you go.
What about Hold My Hand by Hootie and the Blowfish?
I
Big
love
fan
Hootie
of
and
that
the
song.
Blowfish. I can't shit on Hootie and the Blowfish. I could try, but I'd be lying.
Hootie and Blowfish were great, man. What was his name? Darius Rucker?
Oh yeah, he's now like a big time country star since country music's just basically pop music.
Yeah, he said F you to the rock music industry and left for Nashville. I remember when he did it. He was like, I'm going to Nashville. And everyone's like, what?
I really wouldn't
What?
consider Hootie and the Blowfish a rock band. They're just like a bar band, you know what I mean? They're just,
Yeah.
hey, look, they're playing Applebee's tonight, folks.
Yeah. You know, they had in the top 100, Hootie and the Blowfish had 3 songs, man. They had Hold My Hand, they had Let Her Cry, and they had Only Want to Be With You in the top 100 for that year. So it was a very successful year for them.
Doesn't Only Want to Be With You have Dan Marino in the music video?
I believe
sure
one
it
of their videos does. Yeah. Is that the one? Yeah.
Yes. They got the Dolphin from Miami Dolphins in there. It's Dan Marino. It was very
Yeah.
Ace Ventura like, but I mean, the 90s ruled. And that's why the 90s ruled. You don't get that now anymore in music videos.
No.
Music videos now are like, hey, let's either act like we're cool gangsters, John Wick style, or hey, I'm a dirty stripper. And instead of like, hey, look, it's Dan Marino and a dolphin.
That's right.
You know, just relaxing, fun stuff. It was definitely the year of pop. Don't forget, you had Michael Jackson's "You Are Not Alone."
I don't remember that song.
Oh, are you kidding me? It's like his little ballad song. I'm not singing it. I'm not doing
No,
it. I'll
no,
get Tommy Meadows on here to sing it. All right, but I'm not doing it. But like it was like his last big music release. Was that? It was really, really popular here in the States. Maybe it's an American thing, but it
Well,
was big here.
Michael Jackson is Michael Jackson. He was pretty big everywhere, right? I just
Now we had a lot
maybe
of
it was just
carryover songs. Like I'm looking at the songs that were like big in '95. Like yeah, Nine Inch Nails "Hurt," which is spectacular. You had from the Batman and Robin soundtrack, "Hold Me," "Thrill Me," "Kiss Me," "Kill Me" by U2.
by you too.
You had Filter's "Hey Man, Nice Shot." Okay, that's pretty darn good there, pal. I'm looking at a little bit more here just to kind of get. I saw another one earlier that was like that really caught my attention. Now I'm just killing time until I get it. So this is what professional radio folk and podcasters do. They randomly ramble on as they're trying to get to what they saw. You
Yeah.
had "Creep" by TLC.
Yep.
You had Blur songs, but I leave all that British stuff to Wasted because
Yeah.
you what
Petty.
was that song that I was mentioning? This is what spurned the topic because I was talking to you last week and I'm like, dude, oh, Montel Jordan. This is how we do it.
Can't go wrong with that.
No, dude. I mean, that's crazy. Like, I feel so old that that's 30 years ago.
What about You Don't Know How It Feels by Tom Petty?
That's not from 1995.
Or 1990. It's from the 1994 album released in 1995.
Yeah, that's kind of like how Pearl Jam's got Better Man on here, because I think that was a 94 release, am I right?
Better
But
Man
the
by Pearl
Better Man
Jam.
was charting. Yeah, Better
There's
Man was charting. They have check this out. They have First of the Month by Bone Thugs and Harmony.
Never got
Uh,
into them.
Really?
Yeah.
was
Oh,
Yeah.
they have Breakfast at Tiffany's by Deep Blue Something. They have
Breakfast at
Boombastic
Tiffany's.
by Shaggy. They have Big Papa by Notorious B.I.G.
Yes.
They have Buddy Holly
Yes.
by Weezer. I mean, dude, they got some songs that are still getting some play. Natalie Merchant's Carnival came out.
there's the Ball Breaker by AC/DC.
December by Collective Soul.
Yep. The Bends by Radiohead. You know, that was their record before they really went all electronic and rubbish. They were still like a rock band then on that album.
I'll Be There for
Uh,
You by Method Man featuring Mary J. Blige. That was a killer song too.
They had Misery by Soul Asylum.
December, Collective Soul.
I think I said that already, mister.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I was just reading them off and just, rocket firing them out there. Like I said, we're professional here.
there's so many records. Green
Hey,
Day's
really?
Insomniac.
Green
Ugh.
Day came out with Insomniac. Yeah.
I'm dropping my first F-bomb of the show. I fucking hate Green Day.
You've mentioned that.
They
They're the
started out
worst.
good. They started
No.
out good, but then they went
Dude.
like woke and weird.
They have Zombie by the Cranberries.
Oh,
I love
so
her
many.
voice. I think she's got a great voice, but that song is so overplayed. I can't. It's like Sweet Child of Mine. It's turn it off when it comes on now.
Speaking of a song that's overplayed, if you listen to any alternative rock or 90s rock stations, The World I Know by Collective Soul.
Yeah.
Oh, they have Tomorrow by Silverchair. They have Till I Hear From You from Gin Blossoms. Wow. This was a big year. Oh, dude, I can't believe you forgot this. The last original Guns N' Roses release, Sympathy for the Devil, was charting.
You know, I was looking for a Guns N' Roses release because I thought there was, but I must have completely missed it. Sorry about that.
Don't be sorry, dude. I mean, there's so much music here, you can get lost in it. And if you look at it now, from 30 years ago to now, could you imagine, like, last year you'd be able to go back or go forward 30 years and be like, well, in 2024, look at all this great music we had. I don't think so.
Yeah, I don't think so either, man.
It's all the same bands are still releasing albums. It just nobody really cares that much anymore. Like Richard Ashcroft, Blur, Oasis, maybe not Oasis, but Blur released an album recently. Elastica never released any albums at the time. David Bowie is,
Bowie. It's not Bowie, it's Bowie.
It depends if you say Landon or London. Landon, mate. So then it's Bowie.
I don't want liars to feel bad about this because Sympathy for the Devil by Guns N' Roses was released December 1994. So I mean, it's just right on the it's right on the verge of being 1995. So it's getting all airplayer in 1995.
Yeah, I'm not sure the last Caius album. I'm not sure. It says here it came out in 1995. I'm not sure if that's true though. But yeah, and the Presidents of the United States, their debut came out.
Caius is another stoner rock band. They're actually one of the pioneers of the stoner rock genre. If you're looking to get into any kind of stoner rock music, start with Caius because they basically started everything.
Yeah, Blues for the Red Sun. That album is basically Caius' Appetite for Destruction.
Now, like, we did the show in the past of 1991, and I was still a youngster then. But like 1995, I'm entering middle school then. For me, this is stuff that, like, oh wow, I really remember vividly. And for you guys, I mean, you guys are probably out. You guys are out of school. You guys are college. So I mean,
Yeah, I
this
was
is
in 1995. I was in college. Yeah.
Yeah.
so you guys are. This is your music. I mean, for Wasted, this is like perfect. This is all British pop nonsense between Oasis and Blur, and you're just having a grand old time, aren't you, Wasted?
Yeah, that was 95 was like maybe my last year or second to last year. It's all a bit of a blur. The Pulp also had different class, common people. So yeah, Britpop was absolutely gigantic in 95 in the UK. You weren't even hearing kind of grunge on the radio anymore. It was Oasis or Blur that were, on the pop stations. They play pop all day in the UK, and then they have one or two bands that they go, oh, we like this rock band, Nirvana or Queens of the Stone Age or Oasis.
Could you argue that this was the last year before really new metal or like new heavy metal came in and rap became more like it was mainstream, but it was more gangster rap in the 90s. But
Yeah.
like 96 forward, it became like everybody's listening to rap.
Yeah,
And it
because
was like
97 is Lost Highway, isn't it? It's like Marilyn Manson and Nine Inch Nails.
yeah.
And yeah, so everything changed.
And this is like the last year of like the alternative kind of like, how do I say it? Like not easy listening, but kind of like, the years between grunge and the new metal, heavy metal, where you had your Collective Souls, where you had your other bands like Collective Soul. Geez, I was just trying to remember the other band that we were talking about in here.
Blossoms.
Gin Blossoms, perfect. That kind of like poppy rock that's not really rock. It's kind of more like safe
Indie.
pop, safe rock. Yeah, it was, and that all went away. Like you went through this like little phase here where you had like a little bit of indie rock happening. Like Hootie and the Blowfish was like gone after this year. They
all the
owned 1995 and then they were gone.
All the grunge bands kind of like even Faith No More. Their last album of the year was released in 97, and then they quit. I think maybe Soundgarden was getting closer towards the late 90s, wasn't it? Where all these bands were like winding down a bit.
Nirvana was gone because Kurt Cobain passed the year before.
Yeah.
You had Alice in Chains were pretty much done because Lane Staley's drug abuse was happening. Soundgarden was pretty much done. Yeah.
And Korn's debut album came out in 99, I think. And then that just totally went from that point on. It was all about new
I think
metal.
Korn was before 99, buddy. I remember Korn like 96, 97.
Yeah, it's late 90s.
But this was kind of like the last time where it went from like VH1 being your music channel to like MTV kind of retaking it. Where it went from the rap to the boy bands to like the teeny boppers like Britney Spears and Christina Aguilera to like the new metal, harder metal with like Marilyn Manson and Kid Rock and Limp Bizkit and everything like that. All that came right after this. This was the last year of kind of a different time in music. And it was not a very long time. Like grunge really didn't last that long, but grunge died, I would say, in 1995.
Yeah, well, as soon as Kurt unalived himself, grunge wasn't as popular. And in the UK, Brit Pop took over.
And this was a weird time too for like Pearl Jam and Red Hot Chili Peppers. They were like in a weird place. Guns N' Roses were like in the middle of breaking up. Like I don't think they officially broke up to 96 or 97. Like Slash, I think didn't send his fax until 96, but it was like essentially he was gone. Metallica was on their little break from the Black Album until when did Load come out? 96 or 97?
I don't know.
1996 Load came out.
So we're at that weird phase right now where like the old bands are dying off and new bands are beginning, but there's not like anything really that stayed from 1995. Like now these are all the people that you see playing the local, festivals. Like they'll have like 4 or 5 bands together.
Yeah, they're combining, aren't they? Like Poison, isn't there's some kind of festival going on with Guns N' Roses are playing on the same bill as Poison, or Poison, Aerosmith, and Def Leppard or something. They're all
I think
pooling their
Aerosmith's
resources.
permanently done, buddy.
I'm sure they said that it's at this festival that Guns N' Roses are playing at. Guns are playing one night, and Aerosmith are playing the other.
This year?
Yeah,
No,
pretty
man.
sure. But Van
Aerosmith's
Halen
done,
might be
man.
getting back together. Isn't David Lee Roy?
Aerosmith's done, man. They're
Okay.
Steven Tyler can't do it
Yeah.
anymore.
He retired, didn't he?
Yeah.
Well, I saw him perform live recently. He came up and sang with another singer. I'm trying to remember what it was. I saw it on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. And his voice is just not there.
Yeah, it was his benefit. It was his charity show that he did. He does that, I guess, every year, and he put it on this year, and he performed a couple songs. And yeah, I mean,
No, I got respect.
might-
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to kick down on the man at all. I just, he's an
No.
older man now, and your voice after multiple surgeries on your throat obviously is just not going to be there. That's when Wasted like Aerosmith's going to be there. I'm like, yeah, dude, I'm pretty sure they wanted to do a farewell tour, but they had to like say no because they couldn't go for that cash grab just because his vocals and his health wouldn't hold out for it.
right.
Yeah. It's some other band that playing with Poison and I don't know, just all pooling their resources.
Well,
to do,
Liars,
like,
in
festival
1995,
shows.
what really sticks out to you? I've already kind of said what sticks out to me. What sticks out to you?
For me, it's the Wu-Tang solo albums, how they all came out. I was really into, at the time in 1995, I was really into the West Coast rap, like Dr. Dre and Snoop. I was still listening to them pretty heavily. Never got much into Tupac, but I started listening to Notorious Big, and then of course Wu-Tang, and then all of the solo albums came out, and I just gobbled them all up. And like we talked about earlier, Liquid Swords, such a great album. Only Built for Cuban Links, and of course Old Dirty Bastards album, 36 Chambers. So that sticks out for me. What about you guys?
I've already said mine. Wasted. Did you already say yours? That to you is just really Blur and Oasis?
Yeah, the feud, that was the big thing in that year. The two singles.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Wasted, how successful were Blur?
I mean, they headline huge international festivals. They were really big, and they're still big in the UK, but they didn't really
Right.
translate to America like Radiohead or Oasis. But they're not far behind, but they're definitely more of an English band because they're more influenced by the Kinks. The Kinks famous for the sort of third person, writing songs in the third person. So the Blur are more like the Kinks and a little bit of the Who, sort of post-punk. Yeah.
Right.
But they were the Brit Pop band. They're like the Sex Pistols of Brit Pop. They're the actual band that are actually Brit Pop.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to ask because
Park Life.
in prepping for today, I did read a little bit about Blur and just how how popular they were and how successful they were, and I was shocked because while I remember them, I don't remember them being this huge band that they said they were, or that I read they were.
It's kind of in two. They had the trilogy with Park Life, Modern Life is Rubbish, and The Great Escape was the peak of their success, where they had the song like Park Life and Country, the Universal and things. They were big hits, but then they changed and turned into like an American alternative band, influenced by Pavement, and they have this song called Song 2, which smells like Teen Spirit. So that's the song that Americans know, Song 2. It's got a big riff, but yeah, they became more of a like American, like Beck. They're influenced by Beck, so they changed. So they're like really like an art band from Goldsmiths. There's an art college in the UK in London. So they were like the London scene, full on. Like Damon Albarn is kind of like Mick Jagger. He has the Cockney Mockney accent. So they like sound like they come from London, isn't it?
Right.
So they're very, very popular with British people.
Oh, Yeah, like I said, I didn't realize just how popular they were. But
And Japan, huge,
yeah.
huge internationally. And in Japan, they love them like they're sort of Nirvana or something.
Yeah. Well, I guess that wraps it up on the topic of 1995. We pretty much exhausted this. Brasky, anything you want to say on the topic?
I believe I've said everything I have to say, my friend. Thank you.
Perfect. And what about you, Wasted? Anything you want to add to the topic before we punch out on this one?
No, I'm good.
Before we go, I just wanted to thank everybody for listening. Look for us on YouTube, look for us on Rumble, look for us on Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. And if you do, please hit like and subscribe. Everything, we appreciate everything that you guys do for us. And without you, we wouldn't be able to do what we do. So thank you very much. All right. Well, fellas, on that note.
Sector is coming after your door.